because that's not going to work for everybody. But it is one of those things you see consistently with wealthier guys. They almost all go through a flying phase. Next subject, want to fuck a lot of girls over time. You got to make it easier in the right job with the right environment, not harder. So this is for the guys that are serious about women. They're like, and it's a teeny tiny subset, but they're like, I like girls. I want to get laid a lot, and I want it to be kind of part of my life. And it doesn't have to be forever. Like guys go, I can't retire being a bartender, but you could be a bartender for like 2 to 3 years. You could learn it, go to a college town, work as a bartender, like 7 to 2 a.m. and bang everything that moves. And your skills will become very good because you're good at socializing. So some environments are better. Some environments are better for hooking up and meeting women. And that's bartenders, DJs, club promoters, bar owners, if that's in your wheelhouse, personal trainers. You meet a lot of women. You're in there's not a lot of human resources. You're around a lot of people. It's a casual environment. Pilots, again, for some guys, they know they're going to be a pilot from the age of like 8. They know. Firefighters. Firefighter is an excellent job. I call it this. I mean, it's probably the very best low-key job out there. You work 1 day on, you're off for 2 days, great pay, great benefits, lots of free time. Almost 80% of them have another business, not job, business that they pursue. And then the retirement is ridiculous. It's not like it was 30 or 40 years ago when it was kind of like the same as working for, the water department, and they didn't make a lot of money. Everybody's driving a Toyota Corolla or some beater. I mean, you go by like a firehouse, you see a bunch of Teslas, you see Corvettes, you see lifted F-250s. I mean, these guys do very well. They just stick and stay with that city, maybe do a little overtime, and they crank. Pastors, again, I always put that in. It's kind of a joke, but pastors are, and I don't think they like to hire pastors that aren't married, but it's definitely an environment where guys they're at the front of the room. They meet a lot of women. They meet a lot of women that are going through transition times. So it's actually a good environment for the pastor. Bad for you if you're the husband or if you're just a guy. Hard environments. And this is why I always encourage people, guys that shit on online dating probably have one of these jobs above, not one of the jobs down here. Because there's other environments that you're never going to run into any women that are available whatsoever. I mean, you might meet the boss's 60-year-old wife who works the phones and calls out, and she kind of runs the office. Construction, HVAC techs, plumbers, truck drivers. The number one occupation for guys that import wives is long-haul truck driver. They make decent money, and they have lots of, they're never home, and they never have any opportunity to meet anything other than like lot lizards, prostitutes at truck stops. So they are the ones that hire the matchmaking services that bring in girls from Asia, girls from Eastern Europe for marriage. And they're the number one consumer of that. Oil fields, you're on for 2 weeks, you're gone for 2 weeks. Very hard on women. They don't like it. Lineman, this is the last true man's job, but you're also gone a lot and you're chasing storms. So you can be all over the country. And city maintenance, these are just hard jobs that you're not going to be around a lot of women through the day. And you might meet one, you might see one at QT, you might see them coming and going. It's just not conducive to a lot of pickup or conversations or socializing. The ones that are above, and there's no different. I mean, I would say that the hard jobs, way better pay, but there's a trade-off. There's a trade-off to what you're getting in return. So that's the real deal. If you want to lift weights, work on your game, and be in an environment where you can really practice and get really good at it in a short amount of time. You would look at some type of nightlife environment as a bouncer, a club promoter, a bartender. These things just seem to work because it gives you a chance to interact. You got a little bit of freedom. You have a reason to be there. And the girl, there's alcohol involved because alcohol is sex fuel. So there's all kinds of benefits to being in that environment. And you will do better. Again, I say for guys that aren't sure what they're going to do, they like game, they like being in shape, is to move to a college town, let's say like Madison, Wisconsin. Go to a bar near the college campus, get a job as a bartender. You might have to be a bar back for a little while. You're going to have to kind of put it together. Lift weights, work that job for about 2 or 3 years. You're going to become very good at what you're doing. You'll have a completely incredible new set of skills. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And so, gentlemen, that's the real deal. Travel photography, yes. Photographers do well. They can make it great money. They're around attractive people. It really kind of depends when if you're doing like architecture photography, maybe not as much, but you are traveling. So, and it's kind of a sexy job. It can't hurt. Yes, photographers do well. I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. I appreciate that. That's a good gig. I have a friend that when we were like 16 or 17, he said, "You know what, man?" He goes, all I want to do is hang out on the beach with beautiful women the rest of my life. And I was thinking, what the fuck? I mean, that is a strange, to me at that time, I was like, well, nobody's going to pay you for that, And he became a photographer, and he has spent his life playing beach volleyball. He's almost always on the coast traveling as a photographer, like lots of models, lots of weddings, lots of, high-end photography. And he spent his life with beautiful women on the beach and made great money, and is probably the happiest guy that I've seen, out of our group. And he really did it, and this is all he's ever done is photography. It's just incredible. So it can be done. There's a good question down here, and I will address it in our opening on Monday morning, but I'm running out of time, and your time is valuable too. And I do appreciate you joining me, and I will be back at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. And if you have any questions, please follow up. And if you have any desire to continue this education, Fort Worth Playboy at Gum Road, I have like 25 titles in there that will take you further into game in more detail, and you become better quickly. Hope you guys have a great